suck.
Down, field for room to run for Fields. Oh, turn it on to speed.
Wake up. This is Out High Bear Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Out of High Bear Nation. As you can see, it's me and Turtle tonight. Turtle, how you been, man?
I'm good, man. It's been a while.
Hell yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for the show itself. We've had a lot of personal things been going on with a lot of us, so we had no time to really set up and do a show. As you can tell, I am in a completely different environment than I used to be in. So, you know, a lot of personal moves and stuff for me. You know, Tarbill's dealing with some stuff that he's dealing with. Our thoughts are with him right now. But, you know, we wanted to jump back on, get you guys set for Bears Panthers. I know this game is sure to be a barn burner, or more of a just a burner, because of how terrible these two teams are. You know, both teams are struggling. I nicknamed this one the Battle of the Bad. You got the Panthers 1-7, Bears 2-7, and it's not looking bright for either team. You got reports out of Carolina that, you know, they're already questioning the Bryce Young pick, and then you got Bears fans know the controversy that's just been going around this team the entire year. Every week it seems like a new story. Now you're playing against a team that, you know, I don't want to say it's a must-win for the Bears, but you lose to a 1-7 Panthers team, and you're looking at a lot of questions after this week.
Well, not just to mention the, you know, for your season, what it means to go into a Thursday night game and get the worst team in the NFL, and then if you fall on your face and lose to them, you know, whereas the alternative, you can get the W and then have 10 days before you play again. But also for the draft pick, right? Like, you have to do everything you can to make sure that Carolina doesn't win games. Like, that's your pick. Like, I can never remember in the history really of at least Chicago sports. I'm sure it's happened at some point somewhere, but where a team traded a pick that wound up being the first overall pick the following year.
Yeah.
Usually when you trade that next year pick, you're like, well, it might be like a top 10 pick, a top 15. But to say, like, it's going to be the first overall pick, like that's crazy. You could trade out of the number one spot and then the following year get the number one spot again, plus your pick.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the other thing. The Bears are so bad. They could have the top 2 picks by the end of this season, and that's
like even
crazy.
Like at work, like it's funny because worst case scenario right now, you're thinking we could be second and third, and you know, whether Arizona or the Giants or somebody winds up in that first spot, like you would still have picks 2 and 3. Like this, I don't know. It's just kind of baffling to think. You know, and maybe we do it to ourselves, right? Like we get so excited when a move happens. We're so eager for it to be the change that we want it to be that we always talk ourselves, and unfortunately we talk our friends and each other into this is the move that changes everything. So last year the trade to get DJ Moore, we're like, this is the trade that changes everything.
And
you fast forward to where you are now, and it's the same,
it didn't.
It's the same pile of crap.
It's actually, if you look at it, to me, the Bears are in a worse situation, right? Because usually when you're the worst team in football, you know, I'm not saying you're going to jump to be the best team, but you want to see some kind of significant improvement,
right?
And we just have not had that at all this year.
Especially when you add a DJ Moore type player, you're like, okay. Like
right, and then all you heard about
problems.
all season was how the connection between Fields and Moore is this great connection, and Fields is going to take this next step forward, and then he struggles in the beginning of the year and then gets hurt, right?
Yeah.
And now we're in this situation where this season was supposed to be that season where you figure out if Fields is the guy, right? This is,
Right.
hey, you're our guy or you're not our guy. Now he's already going on what? This is the 4th game he's going to miss.
Well, and then, I was talking to my wife this morning. I said, so he's going to miss game 4 tonight. Well, then why did you not put him on IR?
Right.
Like, if you weren't going to put him on IR, knowing you had the short week for the 4th game, like, to me, it was like, well, if he's going to miss 3 games, we're going to put him on IR.
Right.
Because then we might as well just give him the extra days.
Right. And then there was all that talk about, oh, well, he's down. The Eberflus fumble is what I call the press conference.
Somebody needs to stop letting him talk.
Absolutely. This dude was struggling, man.
It just gets worse and worse.
And then he gets flustered, and the reporters definitely can tell. So they're just going to keep hounding him, and it doesn't get any better.
Tell.
And you're looking at a situation where, okay, so he wasn't ready to play Sunday versus the Saints, but he's going to be ready to play 4 days later.
Right. Well,
no, it doesn't make sense to me.
If you think about the previous week, they ruled him out for the Saints game on Monday.
Right.
So, like, you keep telling us that he's week to week. Then you told us he's day to day. That it's really just a grip thing.
Right.
But you're telling me that there was no way in 6 days his grip was going to get better. But
it's so crazy.
But then you're telling me that he's really, really close because he's trending in the right direction. Oh, but on Monday he's doubtful.
Yeah.
Like,
but he's throwing the ball at practice.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I don't think a lot of people that don't follow sports as closely as we do understand just how serious of an injury a thumb injury can be for a quarterback, especially on your throwing hand.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a different finger. Like when Russell Wilson hurt his finger, that ruined his whole season. Well, I mean, I don't know. Now looking at it, he's still struggling quite a bit. But, you're looking at Aaron Rodgers last year played with an injury on his hand, and he didn't look the same. And I'm not saying Justin Fields is on any level close to Aaron Rodgers, but when you're a quarterback,
it's the same thing.
Right. That thumb is a super important part of your game, right? And
especially
you hit
when you get you compare him, not that you're comparing him to Aaron Rodgers, but like when you compare the two players, like when you have a quarterback who's super accurate already with Aaron Rodgers,
right?
Like, so he's not quite as accurate. When you got a quarterback with Justin Fields who at times has been very inaccurate, now it's like that much more. Like now you're really afraid to let him throw the ball.
Right. And okay, so he's been ruled out officially for this game. Right. So now it will be the Tyson Bagent game. Secret Bagent man, our first topic we were going to get into was going to talk about the quarterback battle tonight, Bagent versus Young. We laughed earlier before the show about the fact that this is even a question, who has the better quarterback going into tonight's game, because you're looking on one sideline in the Panthers where you got Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick. You traded away your assets for this pick. And now the reports are coming out that, the coach wanted this guy, but the owner wanted this guy. And then you're getting into all this sticky situation. And then you look at the Texans where, CJ Stroud is doing so much better than Bryce Young. And, obviously the Panthers are a younger team. They're struggling right now. And Bagent, undrafted, right? So you got the number 1 overall pick versus an undrafted rookie. And the fact that this is the topic is, if you're the Panthers, man, that's worst case scenario.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, when you had to imagine in that room when the thought of we're going to trade for the number 1 pick, whichever quarterback it was going to be, we're going to trade for the number 1 pick. And then you find out you have to give up a DJ Moore to go get it, which is so counterproductive because you look at the type of season that Adam Thielen has had.
Yep.
Because there's literally nobody else in Carolina. Like nobody. DJ Chark can't stay on the field. I think he's out again tonight, or he was doubtful for tonight or something, but he can't stay on the field. Mingo he's coming along, but he's a rookie and he was a project receiver at best when they drafted him.
Right.
So now you've got these guys. There's, Hayden Hurst is okay, but he's not elite. So you've got these guys that really there's nobody but Thielen for him to lock onto. so you give away imagine if DJ Moore's in that offense. Now, obviously you don't get the pick if you don't give him up, but usually when you go, okay, well, we're going to draft first overall of a quarterback, but we got DJ Moore to pair him with. So at least they could help the young kid out. It's like, okay, well, we've got 35-year-old Adam Thielen to help you out. Oh, thanks. We've got Chuba Hubbard to help you out. Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
We're bringing Miles Sanders. Oh, but you didn't bring in any offensive linemen.
Right, and you got Frank Reich as your offense or your coach, and he didn't do so hot in Indy. You know what I mean?
Right.
With the offense,
So it's like all these things working against you, and then the elephant in the room, as they say, he's small. He's very, very small. Like, Russell Wilson is small. Drew Brees was small, but they all have, Drew Brees, one of the most accurate quarterbacks history of football.
Right.
Russell Wilson, when he was young, man, he just made things happen. Like, he just had that ability. Not to mention he got to play with one of the greatest defenses to ever step on a football field. Like, all those things help when you're young. You look at the situation in Carolina, like, there's nothing to be excited about. The only thing to be excited about is Brian Burns, and all you keep hearing about is, well, he's probably the next one to get traded. Like, well, great. So it's like you've got all these things, and you hope that Bryce Young was going to be one of those guys that comes in and he just makes an impact right away. And he's just, unfortunately, where most rookie quarterbacks do, he's just not making an impact.
Right. And it's like, I know people are not really happy with Caleb Williams for all the talk that he's had about, now that I know how much money I'm making with all these deals and stuff, maybe I'll stay in college if I don't like the team. But like, you're looking at it 100% the right way. Like, you're going to go to a team most of the time when you're a young quarterback in the NFL getting drafted to a team that's not good.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're a quarterback away. Right. But then what else? I mean, we're looking at it right now with the Bears, and we got
it's not like they're only a quarterback away.
Right. And Foster saying, CJ was who they should have drafted. They came out and they said that, you know what I mean? There were reports, like we stated earlier, that the coach wanted one guy, the owner wanted the other guy. And when you have that kind of a disagreement at that type of a level, then you're looking at a lot more problems, I feel like. And we're in the Panthers sideline right now, but, shifting over to the Bears, you're looking at Bagent, who last week he played well for the first 3 quarters, and then just a terrible fourth quarter happens. Ball security issues, bad, one thing about Bagent, it's no surprise he doesn't have that zip on the ball. He was a Division II quarterback for a reason.
Right.
And
undrafted for a reason.
Right, exactly. There's areas of his game that are not going to be great. And most of the time when you got a backup quarterback playing for you either way, it's a shot in the dark that you hope he can just keep your team afloat.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where he's at right now. Tonight, I know they have a backup quarterback, but if you let the Panthers come into your stadium on a short week with the team that they're bringing in there and you lose, to me, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Especially with what's on the line, like we talked about, with you need to win this game to keep the Panthers in the rearview mirror and in that top 2 spot for those draft picks.
Yeah, you look at, like you said, you look at the team that Carolina is going to bring in here to face the Bears on it's going to be cold. It's Thursday night, 7:20 kickoff. It's been a windy day all day. So it's going to be windy. Like, you just have to go in and own the game. Like, whether you're backup quarterback or not, it's not like it's your backup against an elite quarterback, right? Like, Young has struggled. We talked about it the whole show so far. He's struggled. The offense doesn't have a lot, and the defense doesn't have a lot. They have who's the corner? Is it J.C. Horn?
Yeah.
He's a good corner. He'll take the ball away if you give him a chance. But Brian Burns is probably not going to play. I'm not. I've been at work all day. I'm not sure.
No, I think he was ruled out.
Okay, I was saying I know he was doubtful. And hardly ever do you see a guy go from doubtful to playing, but so it's very just one of those games where it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be a W.
Exactly.
So, and with Bagent, I think if you have the lead and he can throw those short passes, the screen passes, the slants, use the running game, use his legs to pick up the first downs, like, that's his game. Like, he gets in trouble when, and somebody asked me how I thought the Chargers game was going. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Chargers were going to score early and often. And you were going to see if Bagent was a guy that could bring you back by going downfield, and he's not. You hit all of them dead on the head. He doesn't have the elite arm strength. I don't care what he says or what anybody in Hallis Hall says. He does not have quarterback one arm strength in the NFL. He does not have the zip on the ball. He does not have that, well, I can throw it across my body and get away with it. I can read late and get away with it because my arm strength is going to get the ball there and make up for it. He doesn't have it. He's got to see it. He's got to hit the open receiver. He's got to check down. He's got to use his legs, use the run game, and stay ahead of the game. Like, stay ahead of the chains. Keep your offense on the field. Control the football. Don't take risks, because this isn't a team that you should have to take risks this weekend.
Right. They're not a good team overall.
Right.
The defense is not great. You're getting, I believe, if I check the injury report, Khalil Herbert is questionable, but I thought they said he was going to try to play tonight.
Yeah,
I still don't know if I would rely on him heavily. Devontae Foreman's been playing really well.
Right.
You give that guy the ball, and they did that really well in the not the Saints game. What game was before the Saints? The Raiders?
Yes.
The Raiders game, yeah. He ran the ball well during the Raiders game. You have to play this game smart. Don't outcoach yourself. And, they kept Bajan in the box in the fourth quarter. Too many mistakes by the coaches. That kind of leads us into our next topic, right? We talked about, what it's going to look like if they lose this game. Hot seat, hot or not, will the Bears part ways with Matt Eberflus after the season? You're looking. A report came out today, I believe, that stated that there was minimal friction between GM and head coach right now, and that kind of scares me. I'm hoping that that's just like mid-season talk, like, yeah, no, we're backing our guy. This is our coach, because they've had so many negative things happen so far this year. The last thing they need to have happen is a report come out that the GM's already searching for a new head coach halfway through the season.
Right.
Now, I mean, I don't want to say I think if they lose this game, because I thought that a few weeks ago too, that if they lost this game, Eberflus would be done. But you're going into this game home, draft equity on the line. Like, you need to do whatever you can to win this game. It is unacceptable for the Bears to lose this game. And I say that knowing damn well I turn that game on and I know 5 minutes in I'm going to be pissed off at something, right? And Flus has had some questionable coaching decisions. With they got Justin Fields ruled as doubtful. Well, he's 51% that he will or won't play. Okay, I thought doubtful was 75%.
Yeah,
he just doesn't seem to be comfortable.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, he gets so flustered when talking, and that's all well and good. Like, if you're, what is this week? What week
10.
is this? This is week 10. So if you're sitting there at 7-3, we don't really care that you're not good at the press conferences,
right?
But you're not winning press conferences or games.
No, you're not at all.
So it's like, at this point, and especially because Ryan Poles is so transparent. Like, obviously, he still keeps some things close to the vest, but compared to Ryan Pace, like, he's so matter of fact with his answers and tells you exactly.
Yep.
Like, he's not shied away from why he was not interested in drafting Jalen Carter. He is not shied away from other choice decisions and telling you why he made them. A prime example, the Montez Sweat trade. He told you exactly what he was thinking. Chase Claypool, same thing. And he owns that. He owns that it didn't work, but at least where he was going, why he was going down that road. When Matt Eberflus speaks, it's like it sounds like he doesn't even know what he's saying or thinking. So then you get to the games, it's like you make some of these questionable decisions too. It's like, especially everything they sold us on was he's a defensive guru, right? Like, he's the reason the Colts have been so good on defense. Okay, so then take this defense that you added parts to and be a top 5 defense in the NFL regardless of the offense. Because at the most point, like, the offense has been bad, but they've been bad where they pump the ball away. Not, the majority of the season hasn't been, well, we gave the ball away in our own 20. we put the defense in a bad spot. Like the defense has just got worked all year.
Right. 100%. And yet, like when they brought him in, I wasn't a fan either way. I thought you have a young quarterback that needs a head coach that's offensive minded, that's going to get the best out of this quarterback. And then you bring in Eberflus, which whatever, you hear good things about, he's liked by all the players and the players respect him and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But like, I'm not sure every player liked Bill Belichick, right? I'm sure there were a bunch of players that didn't like Bill Belichick,
right.
but the results were winning. You know what I mean? And I wanted to get into a deeper topics with this, but it's hard to do that when we try to keep the show to an hour long. But you're looking at a situation where like he's won 5 games as the Bears head coach? Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
And so he wins let's say 2 or 3 more games. So now you're an 8-win football coach in 2 years.
Right.
That's awful. And if you're me and I'm the general manager, I'm looking at this as, okay, we have the number 1 and number 4 pick, let's just say.
Okay.
Are you going to draft a quarterback in that number 1 spot, bring in this coach, and then fire this coach the next year?
Right.
Because then you're just playing this game all over again, where a coach is going to come in, they're going to inherit a quarterback that they don't really know if they want or not. We went through that shit with Mitch, we went through that with Jay.
Yeah.
Then they went through it with Mitch. Now they're going through it with Justin. And I'm not saying that it would be better for everybody if they parted ways and if Justin stays or whatever. But it's definitely more than just Fields is the problem on this team.
I don't see any way that Eberflus is the coach next year.
Even if they win out, I don't see.
I mean, if you win out, it's hard to fire a coach if you've won
All right, so maybe what if they get to 7 wins?
I just still don't see it. I think there's too much negative there that at some point you have to just reset and start over.
Right.
And to your point, like if you're gonna, whether it's a quarterback, whatever you're gonna do with these 2 picks, you're gonna trust this coach to get them better?
Right.
Like you're gonna trust this coach, and then if you, like you said, if you have to fire him after next year, now we're setting everything even further back.
Right. It's just like when Pace and Nagy were there and we let them pick the quarterback, and then they were gone the next year.
So I just don't see how he could do enough with the time that's left to make Ryan Poles say this is the guy, right? Like I think at this point there's been too much in the other direction that it just I think Ryan Poles already knows that he's not the guy, but you're committed at this point.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to let him go now and set everything back, because who in that room, that coaching staff, who in that room are you going to make interim head coach?
Well, not just interim head coach, but he's also running the defense right
Correct.
now. So then you would need 2 coaching spots.
Now you need to hire a defensive coordinator too.
Right.
Like there's just too much. Like the season's been too negative to just be like, well, we're going to fire him. Like, why? At this point, what are you going to gain from it? There's
He's been honestly
go hire right now. So
with all the chaos, at least he'll be there till the end of the year to kind of keep the ship from totally sinking.
Correct.
You hope
He'll keep the morale at least somewhat even keel.
Right, because the players do seem to respect and play hard for him.
Seem to like him, yes.
Right, and we talk about the defense and how he's a defensive-minded head coach. The defense has played pretty well. I'm not going to say they've been terrible. The first few weeks were a struggle, but since he's taken over the defense, it has improved. And I know a lot of the times in football, the defense is always ahead of the curve when it comes to what offense or defense is ready to go for the season.
Because you're reacting more than you are.
Right.
thinking.
And I think, the addition of Sweat, and that kind of brings us into our point before bare bones is, building a better D. You add Sweat to this team, and when Poles came out and talked about it, he talked about how bringing Sweat to the team wasn't just solely about him making an impact, but it was also about him being somebody that pulls focus so other guys can make an impact. A multiplier, I think, is what he called him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you got guys like Jalen Johnson, who's been playing pretty well. Eddie Jackson, when he's healthy, has looked okay at times. Jaquan Brisker has been playing pretty well this year too. I think he was ruled out today. I don't know. Let me see.
Did he get ruled out, Brisker?
I know he was on the injury report.
I thought they said he cleared protocol.
Concussion. And nope, he is in. He is in. There is no designation. So
Okay.
he's in. You're looking at Nate Davis is out. Tremaine Edmonds was ruled out.
Oh, Edmonds is out.
Yep. And Tyreek Stevenson is in. So, you're looking, and one thing I will say is they've done well with the players they've drafted on the defensive side of the ball. Are they these all-star, Hall of Fame? No, but they're all young. You see flashes in a lot of these guys with
And you see
Stevenson. Right. And Brisker has played really well. I think you look at Jalen Johnson. Obviously, he's probably not as happy that the Bears paid Sweat first. But at the end of the day, you don't make that trade if you don't have a number in your head that he's going, oh, this is what we think he's going to accept. We're going to make this trade,
Right.
And I think maybe this will fuel Jalen Johnson to maybe play a little harder, a little bit better. The guy acts like he's a number one, weapon on the defense. He had 2 interceptions this season. He had 1 in the last 2 seasons. So
that was the knock on him coming out of college was great cover guy, doesn't tend to take the ball away.
Right.
So, first let's start at the beginning with Sweat. The thing with Sweat is you look at where they're at defensive wise. You're set at linebackers, right? You're probably not going to make any changes at linebacker going next year. Sanborn, Edmonds, and Edwards are about the best trio there is. So you got those 3. Let's just assume Jalen Johnson's here for the long term. You got Jalen Johnson. Eddie Jackson, like you said, has played better when healthy. Jaquan Brisker's looked better every game. Kyler Gordon has looked better. Tyreek Stevenson has looked good. So you've got a lot of the holes in this defense filled already, and you've done it with no pass rush.
Right.
So now you bring in a guy like Montez Sweat, who, from our mouth to God's ear, is just the first step of this defensive line getting revamped. But you get a pass rush, everybody's job in the secondary linebackers gets that much easier. So now they go from having to do it all to now I can just sit back and jump routes and take away the ball. Maybe that helps Jalen Johnson in the passing game. Maybe that helps him start to take the ball away. Eddie Jackson has proven to be a guy that if and when they have, a top 5, top 10 pass rush in the NFL, he can be a difference maker because he could just go play center field and take the ball away. Jaquan Brisker, he's always ready to hit somebody. Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, the odds are you're probably going to look at Stevenson and Johnson on the outsides with Kyler Gordon playing the slot.
Right.
So, you've got a lot of those holes filled. Now you're really just looking at the line. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, what Poles did. No, I didn't like giving up what's probably going to be a top 5 pick in the second round. Because it's really just a later it's almost like an extended first round pick.
Right.
So I don't like giving it up. But in this case, with getting the deal done, you weren't going to get a shot at Montez Sweat in free agency.
Nope.
He was going to be traded to Atlanta if you didn't one up them with the draft pick.
Right.
So by jumping the line, you got first right to sign him. And knowing he was a guy that wanted a long-term deal wherever he got traded, you knew, because he tried to play it off and play hardball and say, well, I'm in no rush to sign anything. That's fine. His agent wasn't in a rush to sign something. They didn't want him on the field on the last year of a deal unprotected. So hence the deal gets done. You had all the money in the world to sign him. Like you signed Montez Sweat and you still have 80-something million in cap space for next year.
Right.
So, and like we talked about, without a lot of holes to be filled on the defensive side. So you got the guy now because you were, like we said, you were going to lose him. He was going to re-sign in Atlanta, and you weren't going to get shot at him. Now, San Francisco's not going to re-sign Chase Young. If you want Chase Young, you still have a shot at signing him or another edge rusher. Maybe Josh Allen doesn't want to go back to Jacksonville, whatever the case. But this, at least, you're starting to see the defense take form now, and it's just going to get better with the pass rush.
100%, man. All those pieces that you talked about, they're young, right?
Yeah.
They're all these guys that are learning to play football that are showing signs of good potential down the road. You bring a guy like Sweat in, now you lock him down. That's just the price of poker, man. You come in and it was like you said with the Chase Claypool thing, the right mindset behind it. Like, hey,
mindset, you tried to
the
jump
free
the line.
agency, right? The free agency class of wide receivers isn't going to be great. So why don't we go out and try to get this wide receiver who's shown flashes of greatness? Well, maybe not greatness, but shown flashes of being good.
That rookie year, he was great.
Right. You bring him in, it didn't work. This I don't think is like that. I don't think
it is either.
Sweat has had enough consistency in the league for you to see, okay, yeah, we gave up a little higher pick, but we gave up that pick with the option to get the first ability to sign this guy without having to wait till free agency.
And you saw last week in limited role, just kind of ease him in. You saw the instant impact.
Right.
He's able. You know, I don't think he got a sack last week, but he had. I think they said 4 pressures. Like he didn't even play a full game, and he's already affecting the quarterback and getting to him. And not to mention, he's great at defending the run as well.
Yep,
So
and that's somewhere the Bears have struggled.
Right. So you get a guy that can do both. You know, he's not one of those edge guys that blows by the tackle, but when it's run at where he was, he's useless. Like this guy actually can play both. So, like I said, at first I was like, oh man, we gave up a lot for him. And then it was like, okay, announce the extension. And then it was like you had those couple days where it was like, tell me Poles didn't do this without an extension. And then the extension came before the first game. So I was like, I felt way better after that.
Yeah, man, I was a little worried too. If Poles did this without having a number in mind, that's terrible. That's a fireable offense.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, you give up that high of a draft pick and then you don't get the guy to stay on your team. Then you should have just went after Chase Young.
Correct.
But overall, I think the defense is on the rise.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we wanted to talk draft a little bit, but like with Fields struggling so much, it sucks, right? Because you were hoping that, okay, cool, you got these 2 top 5 picks probably. You got a quarterback that's learning and developing the right way. Now you can fill other holes that you need to fill. But now you're in that doubt mode where like, okay, well, is Fields the guy? He's shown flashes of really great stuff, but then also shown some really terrible things as well, like the play he got hurt on, right? You can't hold the ball that long. He needs to. That's one thing Bagent does well that Fields needs to do better is get rid of the ball. If you don't see it, 1, 2, 3, get the ball out of your hands because you're just going to get hurt. But playing in Ohio State, he's got this mindset like, well, I'm going to play hero ball.
Right.
I got this time. Let me move around a little bit. I'll hit the deep ball. I would love to see. I don't want him to come back until he is fully 100% healthy.
Agreed.
Because then you know, okay, dude's healthy. Now just go. These last 7 games are going to be yours to show what you got.
Yeah.
Because even in the draft, these guys, they're top prospects and all that, but there's still question marks. Oh, yeah. You don't know for sure. Caleb Williams got the same problem. Correct. He holds the ball way too long.
Right. You've seen him show against good college defenses.
Right.
Like
there's a lot that's unknown about guys.
He's got a character issue that you're afraid of too.
Yep, and he's a very me kind of guy, it seems. And for Poles, it doesn't seem to fit the mold of the kind of team he wants to build.
No, it doesn't. I don't see the Bears drafting Caleb Williams. Even if they have the number 1 pick, I think they would trade with whoever, whether it's Arizona or the Giants or the Raiders. They'd trade because you always say, well, I don't want to trade out of 1. Like last year it was, well, we don't want to trade out of 1 and get too far back where we can't make an impact.
Right.
But you've got Carolina's pick. You've got your pick.
Yep.
So if you pick 2 of the top 5 picks, even if you trade back to 10, which I don't think it's going to be because most of the teams who need a quarterback this year are lining up in the top 5 anyways.
Right.
But even if you trade it back to 10, you still have your other pick. So you're probably going to pick in the top 2 or 3 and then have 10. So it's not like last year where we had to go all the way back and got Darnell Wright, which I'm glad we did. The kid looks to be exactly who we hoped he would be when we took him.
Yep.
But you don't have to worry about going so far back. You can still get the impact player. Are you ready for me to blow your mind right now?
Yeah.
I know Tarbell's got some stuff going, so I doubt he's listening to the show. I'm telling you, he would fall over right now if he hears me say this. If the season ended today, or even if he gets back out there and he just plays the same as he's played, I'm going into next year with Justin Fields as my quarterback.
Yo, now knowing your stance on Justin Fields is why I think that blows some minds. But I agree 100%. You have hit. There are so many more needs on the offensive side of the ball that need to be fixed other than Justin Fields. You have him basically for 2 more years. Right?
And you've got him on the rookie deal. The most you have to do is pick up the 5th-year option, which I also would do. My thing with Justin Fields is I don't know that he's ever going to be the guy that is the reason you go and win a Super Bowl.
Right.
But I'm not ready to say that you can't win one with him.
Right. Like he's not the guy that's going to lose you a game, but
Correct.
it doesn't seem like he's the guy that's going to, well, he's proven it. He's not the guy that's going to go out there and win the game when the game's on the line.
So what I would do is I would take because you look at teams before they've won Super Bowls that didn't have the best quarterback. I think he's better than those guys.
Yeah.
He's always going, well, not always. At some point, he's going to slow down. But for right now, he's always going to have game-changing speed and running ability.
Right.
I do think he's possibly, and I say this very lightly, I'm a gigantic Mike Vick fan. He's possibly the best running quarterback this game has seen. When he decides to go, he's so fast at getting to that next gear that the 5-7 yard runs are 30-35 yard runs. And when defenses are spread out, it's very easy for him to make a guy miss just by running by him.
Right.
He's also built like a brick house.
So he takes a beating.
Not mind running through arm tackles. So when you take that, plus he's shown the ability to throw the ball deep and do other things that we like. Let's say they pick 2 and 3. I'm picking the left tackle out of Penn State, Fashanu, at 2, and I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3.
Yeah.
Now give him an offense that has DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside, or 2 of the 3 spots, and at the very least, not Mooney, but the other Scott,
yeah.
In those 3, if you don't go sign another receiver or draft another receiver, because they have money, they have other picks. For all I know, they could re-sign Darnell Mooney, and now you've got Mooney, Moore, and Harrison. But you get those 3. Kmet has turned into a very dependable receiver.
Yep.
So you get those. Now you've got Fashanu at left tackle, Tevin Jenkins at left guard. You have to find a center.
Yes, without a doubt.
To me,
and not a guy that you're like, oh, well, he can play center. No, you need to get a guy that is a bona fide center position player.
Correct.
Who knows how to play the position.
And maybe that's trading the extra pick or something from next year to moving back up to the 2nd round, because I think the guy is Van Pran from Georgia. I love him. I think he's perfect for what they need. They just don't have the draft pick in the 2nd round to get him now. But there are other options there. Like there will be free agents with the right guard. I'd love to see them get maybe like a Kevin Zeitler, who I think is going to hit free agency. Put him in there. And then you've got Darnell Wright at right tackle. Maybe Braxton Jones is the guy that you can kick inside and play guard. And if he is, you move Jenkins over to right guard where he's more comfortable anyways. You can play Braxton Jones at left guard. They have things, but if you build that offensive line, plus you add a Marvin Harrison Jr., and you've got the trio. Now, honestly, if it really came down to it, I would trade Khalil Herbert if I had to get into that 2nd round to take the center.
I agree.
Because Roshan Johnson has shown you he's just as good as Khalil Herbert already, but you also have the power in Deonta Foreman. So I think with those 2, you don't really need 3, right? Like you just need 2. So now your offense looks completely different now. If you add a Marvin Harrison Jr., you add Fashanu, who's a pure pass blocking left tackle. Now let's see what Justin can do. You've got more weapons. You've got a way better offensive line. Because although we say like we want him to be 1-2 go, he's at go before he gets the ball.
Yeah.
In his mind. Even when he doesn't, he's already thinking it because, dude, I've just been pressured the last 5 plays in a row. I'm expecting the pressure to come. So sometimes I think Justin goes to make a move because he's expecting the pressure, and it just is one of those plays where the Bears happen to block it well, and the pressure doesn't come, and he's like, shit, I made that move to get away from the pressure, and I put myself in a worse position.
Yep. I agree.
So I just think at this point, I'm not sold on Caleb Williams at all, and I'm not sold on Drake May either. And I honestly, out of the 5 big quarterbacks, who's it? Caleb Williams, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, and I don't know who I'm forgetting, but whoever the 5th one is, I'm not sold on any of those guys to say that they're better than Justin Fields is right now.
And I agree. Like, you know what you have in Fields. I think there's still more that can be developed in a positive way. I think you're right with before the ball's even snapped, he's already thinking, I'm going to get pressured. I need to figure out what I'm going to do when that happens. You give him Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore. I mean, that's going to be one of the top, you would think.
It's got to, in my mind, that's the top duo in football.
Right. You know, and
right up there with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and it's and I mean, even looking at Minnesota, right? You got Justin Jefferson and that Jordan Addison kid is really blossoming into a really good player. And
you see what he does for teams too, what he's done for the team too, where they didn't even take him in the top 5, but you had Justin Jefferson. You go, okay, well they're going to go here, and they said no. We're going to go get Jordan Addison, so we have another guy on the other side. You can't just focus on one guy now.
Yep, and it's proven to work for them. Jefferson has taken a lot of the focus, and Addison has been the beneficiary of that happening, you know, and I think that that's something similar that can happen with this Bears team if they do that. I think that's a smarter move than being like, hey, we're going to take a quarterback, because you know what you have in Fields. Bring in a coach. Okay, I get it. He's going to be under a third coach, another offensive coordinator, whatever. The dude's a smart dude. Yeah. That's all you heard about with him coming out of college, right? Was that he can digest an offense quickly. He understands what needs to be done. If he's that guy, he'll understand, hey, maybe this is actually the guy that's going to get the best out of me. Right. And let's go from there. I think the Bears need to get a offensive-minded coach that isn't a head case like Matt Nagy was, to give Fields at least one more opportunity next season to see what he can do and focus on the other holes that you have. Whew, that was fun. I like talking the Bears. We got our bare bones segment. We'll jump right into that, and then we'll get the show wrapped after that. So we'll be right back.
Play to the whistle, man. Let's be great today. Let's be great. Win out 3. 1, 2, 3. Win.
All right, we are back with my favorite segment of the show, the Bare Bones segment, keys to a Bears victory. And Turtle, you and I talked all day about, the 3 keys that we were going to discuss, and we agreed on 2 of them. And I think the limiting the penalties was the one that we kind of tossed back and forth. So let's go. Pressure on Young. We'll start 3 to 1. Bryce Young has struggled this season. We talked about it earlier. You bring in a guy, Montez Sweat, and you're hoping that this is that game where you see this defensive line start to, put their head down and go. You got Sweat, who I would love to see him get a sack tonight. You're live on Prime, Prime time. Everybody's watching. Let's show them what they got in Sweat. Come out there, show them that it wasn't a waste. I really liked this topic. So what is your thought on it?
I mean, I think it's just one of those things that we've seen all year. We've spoke at volume already this show that Bryce Young is not anywhere near where he needs to be for that team to be successful.
Right.
It's a short week. We've seen much better quarterbacks struggle on short weeks. So it's a short week. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, like you said, national TV, prime time, all those things. Make him feel uncomfortable. Make him feel the pressure. Make him feel like there's 15 guys out there, not 11.
Right.
No, I forget which quarter it was. He said, "Man, I'm seeing ghosts."
Sam
out
Darnold.
Yeah,
Yeah, when he's in New
there.
York. Yeah.
That's what we it just needs to be one of those dominating defensive performances. No more than 10 points. Just completely smother the Carolina offense and Bryce Young out of this game. Don't ever give them a chance to think that they're in this game. Just from pillar to post, completely dominate them in all facets. I'd love to see Montez Sweat get a sack. More than importantly, I'd love to see somebody else get one to show, okay, everyone who said like, yeah, they do this, but now he's gonna have to go on double teams. Will show he can open things up for other guys.
Yep.
I'd love to see Billings or Dexter, one of those, get a sack.
Yeah, I mean, you just signed Billings, right? So let's see him do something tonight.
So whether it's them or it's Walker, somebody from the linebacker position, Jack Sanborn in the middle last week looked phenomenal all over the field. Sewell looked pretty good out there too. He's very young, but he comes from a very football dominant family, and he looked to be the part last week, playing that linebacker spot more than he's got to. And
I'd like to see Ngakoue get some sacks tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely forgot about him.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? That's the problem.
You're going to see Sweat play more tonight, so that means Ngakoue should get more one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Like, go win. Like, the Carolina offensive line has not been good all year. Go show like that. If there's anything about Unique Ngakoue, no matter where he's been, no matter what the situation, he's always been able to get to the quarterback.
Right.
So continue that tonight. Get to the quarterback. Help out that secondary. I want to see Brisker hitting hard tonight. I want to see the corners, pressing, playing man, playing that smothering defense. I don't want to see any of this conservative defense. Like, I really want to see Eberflus come out and show that defense that we saw in Indianapolis so many years.
Yep, 100% agree with you on that. Our second point, ball control. This has been a problem with this Bears team. Yep. I believe they have the biggest separation between turnovers and takeaways in the NFL right now. Bagent had a few interceptions last game that really basically turned the tide on that whole game against the Saints last week. I would love to see him go out there. You're playing against a subpar defense tonight.
You don't need your best player.
Right. You don't need to take these outrageous chances. Go out there, play your game. Yeah. Hit the quick slant routes. That screen pass has been working a little bit better the last couple weeks, which is good. As much as I hate it, it has worked at times. I do think Bagent needs to go out there. He needs to just protect the ball. Do not give the other team the ball. What was the crazy stat in the fourth quarter? The Saints started with the ball every single offensive possession inside Bears territory. Like, you can't win a game that way. No. Even against this Panthers team. Right. You can't win a game that way. So you need to make sure that you're controlling the ball. Do not give them easy opportunities. Don't make any dumb plays. If it's not there, get rid of the ball. Utilize these running backs. Foreman has played really well so far in the time that he's had. Keep control of the ball. A couple takeaways would be great too. That's part of ball control. You get that ball back. I think what we just talked on the previous topic, pressuring Young will lead to that opportunity for Jalen Johnson and these other guys to get interceptions and give your offense the ball on a short field. I'm really expecting to see a more clean game in terms of protection from Tyson Bagent tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see him able to move around, especially without Brian Burns on the field. They don't really have another over-the-top weapon you're afraid of. So, but like you said, it's not a game where you have to take those risks. I think they should be ahead early and then be able to play with the lead, which Bagent seems to do very well. I think you're going to see a few things tonight. I think you're going to see DJ Moore catch a touchdown. I think you're going to see Deonta Foreman run one in. I think you're going to see a clean game from Bagent. I don't think you're going to see any turnovers from him because I think they're all going to go hand in hand. It's funny. I didn't really think of it until right now looking at these 3-2-1. They're going to, if they get the pressure on Young, it's going to help with ball control because they're going to get good field position because now either whether you're taking the ball away, you're forcing the 3 and outs, you're not putting your offense stuck inside your own 20 where you got to punt,
Right.
And also, I know I'm getting heads up, but also then you limit the penalties. You keep the ball longer that way. So it's funny how all three just kind of work hand in hand. But I think you're going to see all that tonight. I think I really expect this team to look convincing against a very subpar opponent, because you look at the Bears, despite their record, I don't think they're as bad as they've played. So when you have quality players, like last year, you struggled to find quality players,
Right.
especially on the defense. Now you have those quality players, right? Like we've spoke about the guys on defense, but now you have the Darnell Wrights, the DJ Moores, the Cole Kmets, Roshan Johnson and Foreman. Like, you've got weapons now, and now you've got a quarterback who quick release, doesn't let the pressure get to him, shouldn't have to throw downfield. Like, just like you said, just hit the slants, hit the screens. Even if it's Velas out there, hit the screens. Just do what you got to do. Stay ahead of the marker and just play ball control football. Like, don't feel the need to press the ball downfield and go show the world, like, look, I do have a strong arm.
Right.
At this point, I don't care that you don't have a strong arm.
Right.
Stop using it. Chad Pennington had the worst arm in the history of football. He won football games because he didn't try to outthrow his arm.
Drew Brees didn't have the strongest arm.
Yeah, same thing.
You know, like, go out there and utilize what you have, and that's the ability to read the field, make a quick read, and get the ball to the playmaker. And that's what I think this offense is built for.
It is. I mean,
they talked about all this speed and all this stuff. Give the ball to your guys and let them make the play. You don't need a 15-yard, curl route back.
Right.
Give him a 5-yard slant route, boom, hit more,
Right.
let him make the defense miss and gain those extra yards.
Right. I don't need to see them throwing 45 yards down the field in the air to get a touchdown. I don't care if he throws it 2 yards and DJ Moore or Mooney or somebody makes dudes miss and gets to the end zone the same way. I don't care how they score.
Right.
Like, so you're not doing it for us because we don't care. We just want to see a W. And if you're trying to make the rest of the league fear his arm, it's not going to happen.
No.
So you've already proved that when you took him off the field for the Hail Mary. There was no disguising that after that point.
Nope.
Like, you completely told the world this kid has no
Right. Right. So now you need to utilize his best quality, and that's his knowledge.
He's very smart. He's very cerebral. He's a quick decision maker. He gets through the progressions quick, and he knows when to take off. He's tall. He stands nice and on those toes, ready to go. Boom, he's out. He can make people miss. He can get the first down. That's all I care about. Stay ahead of the sticks.
Yep. And that brings us to the very first point, is limiting penalties. The team has struggled when it comes to shooting themselves in the foot. And it's so Bears, right? You'll have a good play. Oh, there's a flag, right? So a 7-yard gain is now a 10-yard back penalty. That's a net of negative 17 yards, and you're not giving your offense time to get in a rhythm. You're not giving yourself any opportunity to build consistency and confidence in your players, because you're always like, well, shit, now we're at 1st and 20.
Right.
We have to make these big chunk plays, and that's just not Tyson Bagent's game.
No, it's not. And you're really changing what this like you said best. This offense is about speed, playmakers, get the ball in their hands in space and let them make things happen. It's not 1st and 20 type plays. Like, you're not built for that. And then when everybody in the NFL, they get behind and then they start running the ball because they want to just get a few yards. So everybody knows. So now you take away the aspect of we might catch them off guard. Like, it's just the defense has done a really good job at cleaning up the penalties. We haven't seen, knock on wood, we haven't seen too many from the defense this year. It's been the offense, and it's really mostly been not even a lot of holds. It's mostly been false starts. You get a nice chunk play, and you stay ahead of the sticks. You're at 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1. Boom, false start. Now my 3rd and 1 is 3rd and 6.
Right.
Or we're at 4th and inches, and we've got a really easy job picking up the first down. Oh, false start. Now it's 4th and 5.
Yep.
And this play calling, whether it's the Luke Getz is the problem, whether it's Eberflus telling him things, I don't know what it is, but they're not good at when they have to back up. It's like, well, you always talk about, you hear offensive coordinators say, well, I've got this play chart and I've got 3 plays in mind. I'm thinking 3-4 plays ahead. They get the false start. It's like, they're like, well, I'm going to run the play anyways.
Yeah.
It was a 4th and 1 play, but it's 4th and 6 now.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the 4th and 1 play anyways.
100%.
It's like, well, that's not going to work. So tonight, I think the thing is play disciplined football, offense and defense, play disciplined football, control the ball, and just play a clean game.
Yep, I agree.
Like, don't get cute. Like, tonight's not the night that you have to get cute. You're not trying to beat Kansas City. You're not trying to beat some of these teams. You're playing the worst team in football. Treat it like that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, this game, you can win this game handily by not doing cute things.
Correct.
This can be a 27-6 game by just doing what you need to do, the simple things right, you know. But, you know, that kind of brings us to my favorite part of the night.
Packers suck.
Packers suck.
They do suck.
And they do suck. And I'm happy that they suck and they're just as much misery. But Turtle Man, hell of a show. It was nice getting you on here. I appreciate you filling in for Tarbill, and
I appreciate you inviting me on, man. It was a good time.
Hell yeah, it was. And thank you to everybody that tuned in. Make sure you head over to X, and like and subscribe to Undefeated Sports Network on YouTube. On X, it's Undefeated SN21. You can find Tarbill, Turtle_takes. You got me. My handle's changed. I honestly don't remember what it is. I think it is. Let me check. It's Aces Wild CST, because I'm getting a new show that starts in a couple weeks. I'm just making sure it's all nice and buttoned up and looking pretty for everybody before I start it. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Great conversation, great comments, and game starts in about 30 minutes. So get your snacks and bear down.